Well, 1 in 5 adults in our country suffer from mental illness. For 1 in every 25 adults, the mental illness is so severe it interrupts major life activities. Until recently, in Charlotte, many families had to go out of town for long-term care. Carolina Impact's B. Thompson introduces us to one young man and his family who spent the last 20 years on a difficult journey. But thanks to a unique care facility right here in Charlotte, he's on a firm road to recovery.
Meditation. The path many follow to find their inner peace. But for Harrison, it's been a turbulent journey.
I've been dealing with mental health issues my whole life.
I guess I had a mother's intuition when he was in preschool that something was bothering him.
At the age of 6, Harrison was diagnosed with depression and ADD, or attention deficit disorder. With medications, he was stabilized, but later came the diagnosis of bipolar and schizophrenia, which he describes as a different kind of disease.
It was a childhood of doctor visits and med checks and lots of different kinds of therapies, and I think Harrison grew up thinking that something was wrong with him that needed to be fixed.
But then, the medications became the double-edged sword.
I started to get really paranoid. I thought the medication was like poisonous. Eventually I got hospitalized 4 times in pretty quick succession.
When a person goes into the hospital, it's a very sterile environment that is geared toward keeping the person safe.
For Lee and Paul, parenting 3 boys, they saw their firstborn spiraling downward. And as an attorney, Paul knew the options were limited.
In fact, our jail system is the largest mental health provider in the state and in the country, in fact. And that typically is where someone suffering from a mental health problem will be sent.
So when I learned about Hopeway, actually before ground was ever broken, my first thought was, oh please, can you open tomorrow?
There was a need in the Charlotte community to have a residential facility that filled the gap between hospital and home.
Opening a little over 2 years ago, this facility is one of a kind in the Carolinas and provides residential and day curriculums for its clients in programs that utilize what's called integrative therapy.
The integrative therapies include art therapy, music therapy, recreational therapy, horticultural therapy, and we have a registered dietitian here. And what we find are all those things are important to a person's well-being.
It's affecting all of our families in their lifetime. So maybe, you've done well, and then when you retire, all of a sudden there's an issue with alcoholism, or maybe you're a veteran and you've had PTSD and it doesn't come out until later in life, or maybe you're a child who's 10 and having thoughts of suicide. So these affect everybody at any age.
About 50 to 60 patients a day from 26 states and the Philippines all take part in therapies that include group and individual sessions. Many, like Harrison, use art to bring out their perceptions and fears.
In creating the image outside of ourselves, creating the artwork, we've taken the story that's internal and we've made it external, and we can explore it from a different perspective.
While Hopeway is a nonprofit, one thing is for certain. As the pedagogues who have health care insurance put it, for many, the devil is in financing the care.
Typically, mental health issues are financially burdensome, and the hospitalizations typically last longer than the typical hospitalization for other physical illnesses.
There's not enough federal funding, there's not enough state funding, there's lack of hospital beds, psychiatrists don't get paid enough, there are not enough medical professions going into the field. I could go on and on.
Whether you're old or you're young or you have resources or you don't, these are brain diseases and we need to treat them just like we would hypertension or diabetes or cardiac disease.
For this family, there came a day when hope was more than just a word.
The very second day of his time there, I was sitting at the kitchen table and he came up and said, "Mom, I think I'm going to be okay."
They all know it will be a journey. The staff at Hopeway challenging individuals to find their path to health, and the pedagogues supporting their son, and putting in a lot of effort to help others who find themselves in the fight for the mental wellness of their loved one. And as for Harrison, well, he's spending time with a four-legged friend, and he's taking steps towards his own path.
No cars went by on the street. Not the tiniest sound could be heard anywhere.
Establishing a career doing voice work in his home studio. But he knows his journey is not over, and he has a few words for those not quite sure of their journey's end.
I'm doing well. I've got a lot of stuff going for me going forward. I feel, just like I did before all this happened, just like a normal guy who happens to have an illness that a lot of people have misconceptions about.
For Carolina Impact, I'm Beatrice Thompson reporting.
Thanks so much, Bea. Harrison is now working on a career in voice work and auditioning for parts in commercials. For more on this residential care facility for mental health in Charlotte, please go to our website at pbscharlotte.org and click on the Carolina Impact page. We'll have plenty of information for you there. Well,